That's what I like to hear.
I get the privilege of working with all the awesome teams, and particularly for today, this awesome team who has brought you Transformers Prime. And now that we've got a little bit of Prime under our belt, we just wanted to look back at some of the awesomeness that we've given you so far this season to kick things off. Wherever that person is. There we go.
The combat was fierce and endured for centuries. In the beginning, I fought alongside one whom I considered a brother. But in war, ideals can be corrupted. And it was thus that Megatron lost his way. And I send this message. Though we did not choose to be of Earth, it would seem that we are here to stay. If you approach this planet with hostile intent, know this. We will defend ourselves. We will defend humanity. We will defend our home.
Yes, we should. Brian Tyler, nominated for.
And we should send Peter Cullen's voice into space and actually say that to aliens.
I think we should. Well, let me introduce our awesome panel today. We have executive producer Bob Orsi. Line producer Therese Trujillo. Executive producer Jeff Klein. Supervising director and zombie lover Dave Hartman. Story editor Dwayne Capizzi. character designer, Jose Lopez. You know, it's and one of our awesome directors, Vincent Hoyt. So to start things off, I just wanted to, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done to get here so far with Transformers Prime, now that you guys have seen it and thankfully love it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we have in store for the rest of Season 1 and the beginnings of Season 2. And we'll do questions in the normal thing you do at a Comic-Con panel. So first, we'll start with Bob. You know, you're kind of like a geek guy, in a good way. It's Comic-Con.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, with Fringe, with Star Trek, now with Transformers, the live-action movies, Transformers Prime. What's different in an animated series? Like, what was the adjustment going to animation? Was it more expansive? Was it more confining? Was it just a completely different thing? Like, what was the process like for you?
You know, for me, it was seamless because thanks to the movies, we were able to attract everyone to the left of me who really has done most of the hard work. So for us, it was just storytelling again. You all made it possible for us to just make it possible to tell the stories we wanted to tell. And in the movies, you can't spend as much time with the Transformers because they're so expensive. You can't spend as much time with the title characters. It's harder to follow them as an arc. So I found it free. I know none of you found it freeing. I thought all of you found it enslaving. For me, it was like, wow, we get to actually, we get to spend time with Optimus Prime. We get to spend time with the people we want to spend time with. So for me, it was a chance to do the things that I didn't feel we could do in the movies. So, thanks, guys.
Well, naturally, Jeff, I have been in many meetings with you where you've talked about this, but I think maybe you should tell everybody what the insane process of getting Transformers Prime on TV in under a year actually involves, as you are so fond of telling everyone at Hasbro.
How long do I have?
You go for it. Just go for it.
Let's see. Well, I think I sat down with Bob and Alex in August of '09. And in talking to them, it became very clear that they wanted, if they were going to do this series, they were going to do it right, and they were going to try to raise the bar. So that got me interested. 3 weeks later, I was back in Los Angeles for my first meeting with the Hasbro people, Brian Golden, the studio people, Steve Davis. It was the first big meeting where we were all going to talk creatively. And again, there, Brian Golden really had raised the bar and talked about what he really wanted for the series. So that was about 3 weeks' time. What I learned in that meeting, actually, so right before the one person I called was Trace Trujillo. We've worked together off and on for 20 years or more. And quite honestly, I just figured if I was going to do this, I couldn't do it without her. So she came on board right away, knowing very little. Went to the meeting with the big group and learned that they wanted the show to premiere as close to the Hub's premiere as possible, which was a little bit more than a year away. Which is about half the time of almost any other CG show's production cycle. And oh, by the way, we were trying to do the most complicated CG show ever tried for television, because every character isn't just a character, it's actually 3 characters. You have to build the bot, the vehicle, and the transformation. So you're talking about a huge show. That was the exact moment where I thought Teresa's going to kill me. But I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'll go check out Hasbro Studios. There's a Hasbro Studios. There's actually a number of executives whose names I recognized. My goal would be one of them. We're working there. So at least we'll just kind of, we'll move into the process they've already set up. And that's what I call Dave Hartman and Mike Capizzi. Again, we've all worked together off and on over the years. Both these guys were on other things, but made themselves available pretty quickly to come on board our show. And when we went to check out Hasbro Studios, we learned, in fact, there was not really Hasbro Studios.
They're just ramping up.
There was only Michael.
And what I mean by that is there were no offices, there were no desks, there was no paper, there were no computers, there was no payroll, there was no union contract. So in addition to...
no food.
In addition to the other stuff Therese really had to do, we also had to kind of start up a full-blown in-house 60, 70 people studio, including finding our partner studio, which ended up being Polygon, which we're all thrilled about. And I will tell you that everybody up here, Jose came aboard next, Ms. Toyama came aboard next. For the first probably month or more, we were working out of Bob and Alex's lobby.
Not lobby, we had a conference room.
Lobby?
It wasn't a lobby. It was a conference room with a table.
It was like a nightstand.
It had a table.
It's a nightstand.
And there was food.
There was food. And we would spend most of the day just sitting in rooms breaking the story, trying to figure out what do we want this to be, while these guys are start noodling on design stuff. And I may have said this before, but I'm going to say it again. There's no way this show happens without the core group you see here and another core group sitting down, especially because, honest to God, no one got paid for a couple of months while we figured out how to do payroll.
I did.
How it was all going to work.
No. I didn't get it.
So these guys really did sort of go so far above and beyond to help not only launch a show, but launch an entire studio. For that I am eternally grateful to you all. So
all of Hasbro is really grateful. The best thing that can happen when you're working on a show like this is to actually have an entire crew of geeks and fanboys. And what Jeff said is right, like everyone who came on the show did this for their love of the brand, for their love of the toys, for their love of Transformers, and just the passion that they put into it in those early days when we were figuring everything out was really amazing, and I mean, it really shows on the screen.
By the way, we're still figuring stuff out.
We'll figure stuff out after this panel.
You said I was a different level of energy.
So, well, I mean, so you talked about Dave and Dwayne coming on. So, what was it? I mean, he said you guys were somewhere else. You came over. What was it about Transformers? What was it about working on a show like this that drew you guys to Hasbro?
Just working with me again, right? Was that before?
Of course it was.
Okay.
For me, it was robots. For Dave, zombies.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about zombies yet. But yeah, I mean, it was Transformers. I grew up with that. It's one of the coolest things. I actually just got off of doing Winnie the Pooh with Jeff.
Another awesome action show.
Yeah. It had zombies too. It was really weird.
Zombies in the 100-acre wood.
But, you know, I made up so many stories as a kid with Transformer toys and all that. I mean, now I'm like, someone's offering me a paycheck to do the same thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, I'm going to do this. And
It was just for a long time there was actually no concrete base.
I know, but of course I told her, oh, I'm going to Transformers. I hope he means it.
And so just so everybody knows, you guys do like zombie robots, yes? This is the man to thank, so you come up and thank him for it.
Well, actually, Dwayne,
was it?
Yes. Dwayne, I didn't know though. He knows, he likes zombies.
I erased the results immediately. I was like, what about this? I knew we could flip. So,
Oh, yeah.
Well, and Dwayne, a good question for you. So, I mean, like, there's this expansive universe. I mean, as we saw in the panel before, I mean, there's all these different versions, all these different iterations. With all of that to play with, I mean, where did you even begin in the story process, figuring out which robots you were going to use, what the story was you guys were going to tell?
it wasn't easy. It was a complicated process, but you know, we confer with Grant a lot and find out wish lists and.
Meaning, which toy sells the best? No.
Favorites, come on. No, there was, you know, certainly the characters who had to be in the show. There were other characters that we couldn't for some reason or another, but sometimes we would come to you guys with an idea of the type of character we want to do, and they would supply the best fit, and vice versa. It's really a two-way street or a five-way street. Everybody involved here. So.
Actually, let me second that for just a second, which is the only way to get the show done in the timeline we did and continue to do is if everybody's sort of running in the same direction. So the Transformers universe is huge. It's 25 to 30 years of mythology. There's lots of places you can go, but at every step, brand, great partners in the hub, everybody was actually on the same page trying to get the same thing done. We didn't always agree, but we always found a middle ground. That's the only way the show happened.
Yeah.
We continue to.
Well, I think another big way the show happened is Miss Therese Trujillo right here. Therese, why don't you explain to everybody what your role as line producer slash mother of the crew slash everything else is?
I think I paid really well to be a line mother, don't I?
Yeah.
Job as a line producer, I'm the person that at the very beginning I meet with the executives and the executive producers and the key team to come up with the budget, come up with the schedule that everybody anticipates in order to get the work done so that people have a good quality of life, they're not working all hours of the day and night, they get paid well, and then really kind of bringing in a production crew to support that, and they're the backbone of all the work that all the artists do. They really sit there day to day. We're the ones that make sure everything gets done day to day, and that everybody's happy along the way.
If I can summarize, we have this plan and we go, can we do this? And she goes, no. Or she says, now you can.
That's true.
Yeah. But even, I'm going to answer this a little bit more, even more than that. Again, we were a startup studio. In addition, not just a startup show, we were a startup studio. So to lure people away from other jobs that were guaranteeing them another year or 2 or 3 of employment.
We had to
really
lie.
an upstart. That's largely her because we work with a lot of the same people who use. Everybody has a point of view that they want to work with, but at the end of the day, Therese is actually largely the person who has to lure them to us. So, and she put together the most incredible team ever assembled.
She's the first line producer I've ever worked with who has scheduled Comic-Con as though it was a Christmas vacation. Where we actually, she's like, no, Comic-Con weekend, nobody's working. Usually we have deadlines.
So a question for Jose.
Yes.
Awesome designs for the show, so thank you for that. What were the unique challenges? I mean, you worked on a lot of shows, you've done some amazing stuff on Batman, on other shows. What were the unique challenges of Transformers with changing from vehicles to robots? Like, what was the design process like for you?
I think the first big challenge is getting over the thought of every design Transformers. It's overwhelming.
What he said was, go ahead.
No? No?
Yeah. Hello? There? Wow! Look at her! Both mics? I feel like a dictator.
What I was saying is, I mean, the biggest challenge at the beginning is just, overcoming the thought of designing Transformers. And, we have a big history of designs of very iconic characters and different variations of Optimus and Bumblebee and RC and whatnot. And it's just trying to decide which is the direction that we want to go forth. And, I mean, the only way we do that is by just spending hours and hours drawing and meeting and with Dave and Jeff and Dwayne and just trying to figure out what are the big elements about the characters. Originally, it's always personality. We start with the writing. We start with what type of character they're all going to be, and then from there it's just endless hours of drawing. And we have our final versions of the characters, but we have many variations that we go through. And they go, we look at the drawing and we pick the things that we like. We pick the things that we don't like. We look at the history. G1 version, the animated version, the movie version of things, and then just pick the most iconic elements that we want to keep, and then try to reinvent everything else. That's just from a design point, and then from a technical point, obviously, is the transformations. You design a cool character, and then you design a cool vehicle, and then you have to try to figure out how they kind of work together. And then the toys. Somewhere in there, you have to figure it out. You have to do that, whatever design you do that has to work for the animation and story purposes. Also has to be a great product that the fans are going to want on their shelves and buy.
Well, and speaking of, I remember before the show premiered, I remember sitting in your office and there was a couple designs that you were really freaked out about. You were like, I don't know, when people see this, my career's going to be over, they're going to freak out.
No, I mean, I used to, and we were talking about Soundwave, was the one design that I was, because we decided to go with a particular type of vehicle, and it was sort of like the Ninja that we're going to keep in the shadow. So with that, you want to go in a certain direction, but that direction is completely opposite of what's been done before. And I remember showing some of the guys in the crew and be like, hey, what do you think of this version of Soundwave? And be like, the fans are going to kill you. So, great, thank you. Yeah. So, there's, like I said, there is iconic elements in the designs and throughout the history that you want to keep, but at the same time, you want to have the liberties to give you something fresh and something that, at the end of the day, fits the stories, fits the personality of the character, and, hopefully creates a great product.
So if I could say, I think Jose did an amazing job of capturing the essence of each of the characters, where you just look at that lineup and each one sort of exudes its essence. And I think that was really a challenge. We knew where we wanted to go with the characters and the storytelling, and what that character's essence was. And we sort of felt strongly that among being a good guy, good transform, and good design, et cetera, that you need to look at it and read the character. And I think the lineup works.
One of the issues, the challenges we had initially was, again, we're moving so